Welcome to Life Will Be. I'm your host, Lydia T. Blanco. Thank you for joining me. There is so much that is going on in the world right now. If you watch the news, if you're having conversations with your friends and your loved ones, you know what's up. If you have a strong intuition, maybe you're feeling like, ooh, let me get my things in order. I can relate. The headline of the moment that I'm currently living in is it's time to get organized. And that's what I want to share with you today because no matter what the headlines are in the news, and as a journalist, I will tell you, you have to kind of turn that dial off and down sometimes for your own mental safety and capacity, mindfulness. But it is time to get organized. I have been going around my apartment in preparation for my next move and taking inventory of what I have. I'm also someone who seasonally cleans. I'm always thinking about what it is that I can get rid of. What can I donate? What am I not using? What do I need to use more? And what is it that I need in the season of my life to get me to where I want to be and be present? That comes with having systems for your daily habits. And I can't tell you how much getting organized will get your life together. It will give you peace, clarity. It is the thing that so much of us need to focus. Have you ever sat in a room and it is so cluttered, you can't even think? Sometimes if I look into a room and it is dirty or things are just all over the place or whatever the case may be, you visualize the space, okay? Because I know we've all stepped or peeked into a room that has looked like what I'm hinting at. You can't even walk in, right? And I realize there are certain ways that I want to be positioned to walk into the next chapter in my life, which requires me getting organized, decluttering, removing things, and making sure that I have a system for the love that I want to invite in my life, the peace, the joy, clarity, all of these things. And so I have had to sit down and write what it is that I want. Step one, sit down, have a seat, okay? Sometimes I see things and I just start going. I'm like, okay, I can get this done and I'm gonna get that done. And the next thing you know is you have a whole bunch of piles physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally that you can't seem to move because you haven't given yourself a moment to sit in what is and create a system for how you are going to approach what you want as an outcome. Have a seat, take it all in, and come up with a framework. For me, I just said piles, right? But sometimes it is deciding, okay, what goes and what stays. I love a good pile, but a good pile with strategy. You get what I'm picking down? Like you picking up what I'm picking down? But that only comes when I have a moment to really step back. I mentioned writing a list. When I tell y'all, I am one for a list, I mean it. Okay, I'm picking up my phone. I woke up one morning and I was like, I am moving. I have what I need. I'm going to be okay. And Spirit was like, well, Lydia, do you know what you have? And I looked around my space and I looked at my plants, my couch, my credenza, all these things. And I was like, yeah, I know what I have. And then I started to go around and I was like, wow, I am so blessed. I have everything that I need And there are things that I am not using that I need to get rid of so that I can be a blessing to someone else and be a good steward of what I have. I'm scrolling and scrolling because I'm trying to find this list, but essentially, I was moved and prompted to create a spreadsheet of sorts, on my computer that I can edit on my phone, technology, notes. And so I created this list and I went around my apartment and I was like, okay. I was like, living room, bedroom, linen closet, restroom, kitchen, storage closet, all the things. And when I tell you that helped me, I was like, wow. And I've been sharing my list with my family and friends. I'm like, y'all, look at this. And they're like, wow, you are so organized. And it's a point of pride. Being organized will give you a little bit more height. When you sit up straight, you stand up straight, and you're like, yeah, I actually took the time to get organized. My next point, you have to make time. Everybody got time. One of my favorite lines from Kendrick Lamar, my favorite rapper, his album, To Pimp a Butterfly, was this scene. I'm calling it like a scene because he real poetic and such a great visual artist and all the things. But he was performing and it was like this live thing. And at the end, he's talking to the crowd who was acting a little rowdy. And he was like, you got to make time. The judge make time. And I was like, ugh. And everything's not about incarceration. Okay. I get it. Prison industrial complex, so on and so forth. We get it. We're Black. We know. But when he said that, I was like, the judge make time. Well, let me bring it to this point real quick. So many of us are locked up because of the lack of organization and discipline and focus in our lives, mentally, spiritually, financially, emotionally. And it's time to free ourselves. I believe that one of the ways we do that is becoming organized. Our ancestors were organized. Think about how much they had, how much they had. Yes, we come from royalty, but we know the history. Some of our ancestors didn't have an abundance of material goods and resources, but they used what they had here in their relationship here, and they made it work. They made time. The judge made time. It's time to free yourself. Get organized. Y'all can't find this list to save my life, but essentially, I'll share it on social media. Maybe I'll do a screenshot or something like that. But it's a grid, and I'm able to edit this list and decide what it is that I want to keep, what I want to store, what I want to give away, and what needs to be thrown away. I believe that it is equally important to give your best to other people. So as I'm decluttering, I'm not giving away trash. Sometimes people are going through their things and they're like, oh, I can't fit it. I don't want to wear it. Oh, it has a hole. Give your best to other people. Have a standard for how you give. Have a standard for how you want to impact others. As you think about cleaning out your closet, whether it's a flower pot, a pair of shoes, a tie, a suit, whatever the case may be, have a standard for the impact that you will ultimately have when someone receives what you were once blessed with. Okay. I like that. Okay. Okay. Right. I'm cooking. Let me cook. Let me clean. Okay. I said this on maybe an episode or two back, but I really have a system for how I clean my space and keep it tidy. we all, well, I ain't gonna say we all, I won't generalize. Those of us who have watched ATL, the classic, okay? Remember that line from Big Boy when he was saying, cleanliness is next to godliness. And I'm like, yeah, we all, yeah, I remember that. I was listening to Brother Nori from the Nation, and he was saying that cleanliness is godliness. And I said, now that right there, it took it another step for me. I was raised to be tidy, to be clean. My father is very particular in firm about people being clean, but also women having a standard for how they keep themselves, their space. And so my sister had songs that we would clean up to, whether we were singing them or it was salsa or merengue playing in the background, a little Anita Baker, black on both sides, but there were different musics, right? Or different genres for the cleaning. And I really value cleanliness. That is one of my values as a person. How well you keep your space, to me, is a reflection of the gratitude that you have for what it is that you possess, but also your reverence for yourself, for the Most High, in the love that you invest in creating and permeating and living in. Cleanliness is godliness. And sometimes we don't realize that, oh, my space is a reflection of my mind, where I'm at, what I think about myself, how I feel about myself. And I believe that spirit in who you are and your essence is able to live freely when your space is clean. Back to my systems for tidiness. I have a schedule, okay? And I like to stick to that schedule as much as I possibly can with travel, work, other obligations, scheduling my joy, all the things, okay? On Tuesdays, I'm looking around my spot and I'm like, okay. But prior to that, every day I am moving something around. It may sound bad because it's like, well, do you rest? But if I see a little particle, pick it up as you go. Did you have a mama or a granny or your dad, uncle, your caregiver, your guardian? Pick it up as you go. They will tell you, okay, I know you see that. Don't walk over it. It's in me. It really got to be in you to live that way. And so on Wednesdays, I'm washing my clothes. Sometimes that gets pushed out because y'all know how we all feel about washing clothes. Don't let me get into the idea of folding them. What? When they're hot? Gosh. But I have a system. I wash Wednesdays, Thursdays. I am cleaning my house on my lunch break and after work. God has been waking me up early before my alarm clock. And I'm like, thank you. I've had this aspiration to be an early riser. And so after I'm praying and reading, I'm like, okay, let me think about what it is that I need to do. So getting organized in my thoughts and taking pride in waking up, hello, because that is a blessing, and being able to be able-bodied and get what I need to get done. That mental clarity, because I'm waking up in a room that is clean. I am making up my bed as I say my prayers. Well, after, I'll be praying, y'all, okay? And talking to myself, okay? I'm like, what's up, Lydia? We got this, baby girl. I'm officially baby girl to myself, okay? I love calling myself baby girl. It's so affectionate, so affirming. Such a good reminder to be gentle with all versions of myself. I digress, right? But I do have a schedule. By Thursday, my apartment needs to be clean. If I'm slacking on my Mackin', then it's Friday. But that allows me to have my weekend to myself. I'm able to wake up early on the weekends and record life will be because my space is clean. It's just a matter of me pulling my table and pulling out my mic, setting up the lighting, and getting ready. I'm not like, oh my gosh. And that is so important to me because I need all the space I can get. I live in New York City. I need to be mentally clear, spiritually clear, physically in the clear space. I need to be able to move around. I bust out into dance and song so often in my space. I ain't trying to stump my toe, have my whole mood go down, like, but I'm responsible for my space. I have to be a good steward of what I have. A year ago, I was pleading with God to have a fresh start. And I was asking for a year of an elevated experience, a blank canvas. God, give me a fresh start. I knew that I was pouring new wine into old wineskins, being where I was for 9 years. And I'm here. I was able to do what you see behind me and what I could for a year. And so it is only right that I honor that prayer and the Most High by taking care of what I have. I offer that to you, whether it be as a reminder, a form of correction, affirmation. We have to be faithful with what we have. The next point I want to make is take pride in cleaning your space. I don't complain when I'm cleaning up. I don't complain. I think that is for children. Kids don't pay rent. They have chores to teach them responsibility, and prayerfully, people are being as loving and kind when they're reminding and asking and prompting and teaching, right? But that complaining piece, leave that to the kids. Whether you have kids, your cousins and them, whomever, there's a certain level of maturity that is required when you are the person who is working so hard day after day to be able to pay your rent, pay your mortgage, pay your portion. And so it should give you a little like, I get to clean this space. I remember having carpet in my last space and people like, oh, you got carpet? I'm like, but the carpet is this. And I was like, hey, you got carpet, girl. Now where I'm at is this hardwood. It's probably manufactured. Who cares, right? But I'm like, dang, I miss my carpet. And I didn't know how much it took for me to keep the hardwood clean. You can see everything. Why y'all ain't tell me? I need a combo, okay? A little carpet, a little laminate, vinyl plank or hardwood, whatever the flooring is, okay? But I need, I guess, dual flooring systems. If not multiple at this point, I would really love a mud room, okay? But I say that because as I sweep, Swiffer, use my O-Cedar, and vacuum, I'm like, thank you, God. I see the dust bunnies. I'm like, okay, I'm glad that I get to do this. I'm glad that I have my eucalyptus and baby breath in the shower. I got to clean it all right. Thank you that I have somewhere to stay. I have hot water. I can come home into a well-decorated space. And it's not about the aesthetic. It is about the ability. Not everyone can design or invest or have a beautiful space to live in. That is a privilege. And I don't take that lightly. I know what it's like to climb up 6 floors, 84 steps to be exact of a walk up, not have AC, carry my groceries, my laundry, deliveries, everything else in between, forget things, have to go back up and down, trash, you name it, from a 6th floor walk up. Mind you, it was the 6th floor. And so I say that because I've built my endurance, my stamina, every muscle in my body, quite literally. And my heart has received the right posture. So as I'm cleaning, as I'm organizing and decluttering, I do my best not to complain. I believe we will all have our moments, but let's leave the pouting and the lack of gratitude that comes from a place of not being mindful to the babes. Like, let's leave that to them. Let's practice gratitude. Let's practice maturity. Okay, awesome. Now I talked about my space and all these things. I want to lean a little bit into finances. I am going to preface this by saying I am not a financial expert. I am not giving financial advice. And I can't help you with your finances because I can't be responsible for your decisions and I don't want to be. Okay, plain and simple. You're like, wait, what? But I'm still going to share what I have done. I know it's a lot of experts on the internet, and I'm not positioning myself as a financial expert. So do with this information what you will. What I can say is write it down. Okay. What the kids be doing on the internet. You know what I'm saying? All of that. But seriously, write it down. I have so many things written down. I'm probably making so much noise with this paper. But there is nothing like getting out a pen or pencil and some paper and writing it down. I'm showing y'all all my business and I'm gonna put this down. Ain't no pertinent numbers on here unless you want to pay for my student loans. And I bet you don't, because the government is like, no. Right? But there used to be a time where I was so afraid to look at the numbers. I didn't want to know the numbers. I was robbing to pay Peter. I was robbing. What was I saying? I was robbing Peter to pay Paul. They all jumped me by the time they caught up with me, reported me to Caesar. Okay, I'm doing too much. Anyways, y'all, I was afraid of the numbers. And I've shared before that I've set up financial dates for myself. And once a month, sometimes when I'm feeling a little like antsy about it, I'll look more frequently than that. And I've had to write things down because I want to know my reality. We can log into our banks on our phones, on a computer. For me, I'm logging into my finances across the board and I'm looking at all of the numbers, which include my student loans. I went to Bennett College for undergrad. Shout out to HBCUs. And I went to Columbia for graduate school. And Columbia got me. They did. But my mindset is shifting because I got into Columbia. I got into Bennett. And while I was young, while I was aspiring and trying to make a way for myself through my education, I decided those were the investments I needed to make to get me where I want to be. Shifting my mindset that way has helped me be okay with looking at the numbers. Sometimes my stomach drop. I be like, whoa, better what? Interest every day over how many years? I began to think about what I did not know, what I was not told, the systems that I didn't realize existed that I could have implemented, starting with what I had years ago, but I should have been all over the place. I know now. I'm committed to doing with what I have the best I can do. Okay. Plain and simple, write it down. You see these numbers? Do you see these interest rates? Baby. Oh, I invested. And I'm committed to paying it back. And I will be proud to pay. It's not about being braggadocious, but it's about making good on your promise. Remember that promissory note you signed? You signed? Remember the investment you were willing to make by going and being the first or the second, keeping up the legacy? You remember when you wanted to pursue that thing? You said you were on fire for it. Remember when you learned that wasn't what you wanted to do anymore, but you still finished or you decided, I'm going to stop? I hope that your memory serves you well and that it helps you to position yourself as you think about what you need to do financially. Write the numbers down. Don't be afraid of them. I hope that you see your commitments. I hope that you feel like your investment was worth it and that outside of the numbers, the return that you've gotten is significant. I've gotten college friends who are friends for life, sorority sisters, incredible people in my network. Like the experiences are abundant. The homecoming experience I'm able to attend and know people and how you doing? The education that I got, the Black professors, the people who I am connected to for a lifetime, lifelong experiences, lessons, things that I wasn't able to get in my childhood, in my neighborhood, being able to travel, live in a different region of the world. All these things I have to remember as I look in the number. So I'm like, okay, yep. That's how I got to New York City, right? I prayed my way out of a situation and I said, I'm going to New York after a year. God said yes. And so did, who was it at the time? Because they be selling loans so much. Navient, Sally Mae, and all of them. Okay. Now I think it's whomever, the federales at this point. I'm being winded here, but I hope you get what I'm getting at. It's time to change your mind about how you think about the investment you made. You made that investment. I know it takes a long time to make a dent in these repayment plans and all this other stuff, but I've made up my mind, essentially. I also began to write down all of my subscriptions, okay? Talk about getting organized. I was like, okay, all the big names. And I'm like, do I have stock in these companies? And I'm like, yes and no. Some are publicly traded, others are very high. And I know some people say, well, the market's down right now, you should invest. Okay. I got some. When you look at what you are paying monthly, you need to ask yourself, do I really need this? Is this a need or is this entertainment? Can I live without this? Is this helping me make more money or is this just taking money out of my account? You have to be looking at your numbers. I will never forget watching, I believe it was a CNBC Make It featuring Lauren Simmons. Is she considered the Wolf of Wall Street? Lauren, I don't know you. Sorry if I'm calling you something that you aren't, but she was the youngest Black woman on Wall Street. And I remember being at Black Enterprise 2018 and I'd seen something and I was like, wait, we got to be on top of this. And we were able to tell that story, which was incredible. I wasn't the person who interviewed her, but it was all good. Years later, I see her on CNBC Make It and she's talking about her finances. She has reached millionaire status. She invests. She was sharing that she was paying about $40 at the time for subscriptions month over month. And then I was like, okay, this is incredible. But also I was like, okay, Lydia, let's think about this. At her creator level, she probably receives a lot of endorsements and is gifted subscriptions or whatever the case may be. That was an assumption. I do not know. But it lit a little fire in me because I was like, how much are you paying? And you don't have millions? Ooh. It's just like when people tell you, oh, I can't afford to eat healthy because I don't have a lot of money. And I'm like, whoa, have you heard of rice and beans? Spinach is affordable. And there is no judgment. Well, you know what? We need to bring shame back. Let's have a bring back shame campaign. I guess this is like a mini PSA. I say that because there is so much information in the internet and community and conversation with others. We have to start holding each other accountable. When people say, I can't, it's really, I don't want to, I don't care, I'm not going to make time. And I believe we can combat that a little bit by bringing back shame when applicable, and forgiveness and grace and all the other things. We got to add a little shame. Sometimes we need to be judging. Hello, discernment. Okay, into that PSA. What can you afford? Are you living above your means? Can you afford to live below your means and make a sacrifice so that you can make a dent in your debt? You can make a significant contribution to your savings. What can you do? What are some of the things that you may not have considered that you are capable of that are within the realm of possibility for you? Have a seat. There goes that invitation again. And really sit with the numbers and take inventory. I was going through my email and jogging my memory, looking at my Apple App Store application. There was a lot of A's. And looking at my subscriptions. I'm like, okay, I got a family plan with Amazon. My sister, mom, and I split that 3 ways annually. Saved a lot of money. We do use the platform for some of our subscriptions for oatmeal. That's the family dog. And other things. All right, Netflix. Cute. I'm canceling that. I use Canva to create. Apple storage. Oh, what's getting the best of me? Hello, $9.99 a month. And I was like, do I need to keep all these things on my phone? 57,000 photos. I am my family's historian, my sorority's historian, you name it. I got it. If it's a photo, video, a quote, I got it clearly. 57,000 photos. Then I remembered the teachings from the investment I made at Bennett College. And it is always to have an external hard drive to save up your work. As a journalist who has done photography work and documentary work, I have invested in a number of external hard drives, preferably a minimum of a terabyte on each disk. And I was like, wait, on TikTok, I keep seeing these advertisements for these external little drives, probably got about 500 gigabytes, 200 gigabytes of space, so people can avoid paying for monthly storage. I said, what are you doing? But when you take inventory, you get clear, you write it down, you look at the numbers, it jogs your memory and you're able to make a decision. What did I decide to do? Last weekend, I spent so much time backing up 57,000 photos from my phone and photos on my computer to 2 external hard drives just to make sure I had it twice. I like to cross my T's and dot my I's. And I said, I am not paying for this storage. I'm going to make sure that I don't lose a memory because they are so significant to me. I take pride and I value having real memories to be able to share, and printing out photos and sending them to people, reminding them, and have moments of reflection as well, right? And I said, I don't need to be paying $9.99. Better why? $10 in US currency every month. And I wasn't even using all of the space. It's like a contingency plan. I said, well, no, that is what I'm going to allow these external hard drives that I invested in to be. Okay, the list goes on and on and on. And I went through and I started to cancel. I made a list on my phone. I checked things off on my to-do list. I crossed things off of my list, but I said, I got to get my finances in order. Not that they aren't, but those subscriptions, they add up. Some people are paying hundreds of dollars a month in subscriptions, and they cannot afford to do that because when something happens in an emergency, I don't have it. And I'm like, well, wait. The idea of setting it and forgetting it is cute when you're in the kitchen using a device to slow cook your food that you bought off of an infomercial. But when you're thinking about your money, that money, you don't want that going down the drain. Okay? Because to need it and not have it, let me tell you something. The man at the corner store tried to keep my change. And I said, wait a second. And he was like, it's only 50 cents. And I said, let me come in here and need 50 cents and not have it. Do you think that you will give it to me? And I'll get change. You sure will. I need all of mine. I return things on time so that I can get my money back. I do not impulsively shop because I don't want to waste money. Return your things on time. Ask yourself, do I really need it? Shop your closet. While I've been decluttering, I decided to get rid of a dresser that I had for the last decade. Tired of looking at it. And on my lunch break, I started pulling out the dressers, threw everything on the bed, and then started taking things downstairs on my dolly to the trash room. And then I went and I purchased more hangers and I hung up all of my clothes. All of my clothes. The things that I could not hang up just because it didn't make sense to hang them, I folded them up and put them in a clean laundry basket. And I realized, this can go. This is still fitting nice. I thank God that I haven't gained a significant amount of weight so I can fit my clothes from over the years. Praise God. But I was like, there's a system. I always hang my clothes in color blocks. And that helps me to be organized and I can see what I have. I can think about my mood and I'm like, I'm feeling pink. I don't want to wear black. Oh, I love a good neutral, right? I hope you hear the systems. I hope that you are like, yeah, I can relate, girl. Yes. This applies because it's time. It is time. Whether you are single, married, parenting, caregiving, loving yourself, all the things. Having systems will renew your enthusiasm for the approach that you take daily. You know, I want to share something with you because I was listening to Miles Monroe yesterday while I was organizing and vacuum sealing things as I get ready to put it away. He was talking about not being easily offended, managing your emotions, basically emotional intelligence. And I was like, this is good. Okay, I also went to go see, I went to a Convo's production. Shout out to Denise Chabot. She produces a series of conversations that are thought-provoking, informative, and rich in conversations. And it hits all categories. Last night, she was in conversation with 19 Keys, who I have been following for quite some time now and truly adore. He produces high level conversations. Last night was a high level conversation. He said so much. And I was like, oh my God, 19 Keys, if you see this, please join me. Also, let me feature your products, all the things. Okay, great. But back to Miles Monroe and what I heard yesterday that had me like, oh my gosh. It is about getting organized, but it's not in its nature. But I'm just going to make a connection here because I feel like in order to do this and live this way, you have to be organized. You have to invest in all of your intelligences, focus, and really lock in. Miles Monroe said every day is a pitch meeting for my destiny. Every day is a pitch meeting for my destiny. Do you know how organized you have to be prepared to pitch, to look the part, to feel the part, to be able to speak eloquently about your future? It's not always about convincing or always being on. It is about having systems that are going to get you to where you want to be in the present. Okay, from here to there, right now. I got things on my to-do list today and I'm organized. So I'm like, okay, what's my pitch for the day? Okay, that's good. But what is my pitch for my destiny? Long-term, holistic. I was like, you know what? This is good. That is how I want to live my life. Life will be, but you have to have systems in place so that you can make the most of every day and happen to life. There's nothing else I feel like I have to share with you, but I hope that this met you where you are. This information meets you where you are. Get organized. Get excited. It's time. I'm always thinking about what's next. And I have some incredible yeses and guests lined up. I want to thank you for being here. This is a bi-weekly podcast. Thank you for watching, for listening, for being open-hearted, for taking notes, for reaching out on social media and all the things. Connect with me at Life Will Be on Instagram, at Lydia T Blanco on Instagram, all the things. Look at the show notes, get the details. Say hi. I talk back. In the meantime, be well. Thanks, y'all. Peace.